salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shahidah Arifin and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, government moods establishment of Sharia Compliant Commission. Malaysia not yet facing food crisis. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandariah, as well as Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa Yaakob today, extended their Pesta Keamatan greetings to all who celebrated the festival in Sabah. Their Majesties, in a post on the Istana Negara official Facebook account, expressed hope that the festival celebrated by the Kadazan Dusun community will continue to foster interracial harmony in Malaysia and strengthen unity among the people. They also expressed hope that it will bring prosperity, well-being, peace and happiness to all. Meanwhile, Prime Minister, in conveying Pesta Keamatan greetings to keluarga Malaysia, said harmonious Malaysia with racial and cultural diversity celebrates ethnic festivals in a prosperous country. He expressed hope that this celebration would bring gratitude, blessings and success to all. The Pesta Keamatan, which is also known as the Harvest Festival, is celebrated by the Kadazan Dusun community in Sabah today and tomorrow as a sign of gratitude at the end of the harvest season. Regulations of the halal industry in the country can be consolidated through the establishment of a Sharia-compliant commission. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa Yaakob said currently the existing regulatory proposal is more limited to Islamic financial sector through Bank Negara Malaysia and the Securities Commission, while the Islamic Development Department JAKIM regulates the halal industry. As such, he said more comprehensive regulations can be consolidated, for example, through the establishment of a Sharia-compliant commission, so that the aspiration to make Malaysia the main reference model in the field of halal economy can be realised. In his keynote address at the Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi lecture today, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the Malaysian economy was currently facing uncertainty at the global level, as well as stiff competition in the regional economy. As such, the role and contribution of the local halal economy to the national economy could be improved further to be more significant.
Ekonomi halal dilihat lebih mencakupi dan berkembang sekitar sektor keuangan dan makanan, sekaligus memperlihatkan kewajaran kepada kita bahawa aspek ini perlu diberikan perhatian dan diperbetulkan. Justru plan induk ekonomi halal harus diupayakan dan diusahakan oleh pemegang taruh untuk memperkasakan ekonomi halal. Ini dilakukan dengan meningkatkan peranannya dalam pelbagai sektor ekonomi halal dalam pembangunan negara.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister said a human capital development program in the halal economy field is expected to be implemented at the international level. He urged the Higher Education Minister, JAKIM, Halal Development Corporation and the industry to support this noble effort.
Di peringkat antarabangsa juga dapat dilaksanakan.
At the event, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also launched the Halal Economy Endowment Fund establishment by the Legacy and Hadari Global Foundation in collaboration with UKM Faculty of Economics and Management with an initial fund of RM1 million. The main objective of the endowment fund is to develop leadership in research and education in halal economics. This covers the fields of science and technology and the humanities. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, MAFI, today assured that food supply in the country has not reached crisis level as claimed by some quarters but is still sufficient. Its Deputy Secretary General Development, Datuk Badrul Hisham Muhammad said, although there were some hiccups with regard to food supply, particularly chicken and wheat, it had not affected the domestic supply. According to Datuk Badrul Hisham, about 94% of the chicken output is for local supply and only 6% for export. Overall, this country produces around 54 million chickens per month and the production capacity is able to meet the domestic need. He also said that about 72% of the overall cost of rearing chickens was for the feed imported from countries like Brazil and Argentina. Datuk Badrul Hisham also suggested that palm oil producers allocate a portion of their farmland to grow corn towards reducing the dependency on other countries for cornmeal as chicken feed, which was costly. On the issue of weight, he said India's decision to ban the export of its wheat had no effect on Malaysia as the main sources of this commodity were countries like Australia and the United States. He added that India exported only about 1.9% of its weight to Malaysia, while MAFI and KPDN-HEB were making efforts to solve the supply issue to ensure the people had sufficient food supply. The Ministry of Rural Development KPLB has allocated 20 million ringgit through the Rubber Industry Smallholders Development Authority or RISDA to overcome the disruption in food supply chain via the Agro-Food Program. 1,000 participants nationwide were selected with each of them to be given financial aid worth 20,000 ringgit. According to Rural Development Minister Datuk Seri Madzhi Khalid, the participants will be allowed to choose their project scope from short-term crop, long-term crop of livestock. He added that RISDA will put more focus on corn kernel crops to reduce dependence on imported livestock feed.
Kita juga mengambil tanggungjawab untuk macam mana dia offer kepada program kecil tu, kita tanam jangka pendek. Yang jangka panjangnya kelapa sawit, yang jangka panjangnya getah. Jadi yang jangka pendeknya tu yang dapat pendapatan 4 bulan, 5 bulan ni jagung ataupun lain-lain tanaman. Jadi kita pakai peruntukan itu bagi kepada program kecil jadi contract farming. Kamu buat, sign dengan kita orang, kita beli balik dan kamu dapat lagi pendapatan. Itu maksudnya.
As of now, 750,000 of corn crop have been planted on 15 hectares of land in Perlis under RISDA Agro Sdn Berhad since last February. The importer of Jif peanut butter has been asked to recall the products from the market. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdul said a check conducted by the Health Ministry MOH on the Food Safety Information System of Malaysia data found that the product had been imported into this country. In a statement released today, the Health DG said the MOH took note of the product recall from the US market for potential salmonella contamination through a notification from the Internal Food Safety Authorities network. The notification stated that the United States Food and Drug Administration has ordered Jif peanut butter products with batch number 1274425 to 2140425, namely with 425 at the last 3 digits, to be recalled because they were contaminated with salmonella bacteria. The peanut butter products had been distributed to several countries such as Canada, Thailand, Honduras, Spain, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore and Malaysia. In addition, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the MOH through the Food Safety and Quality Division would continue to monitor all entry points into the country for the affected batch. Salmonella is a type of bacteria that can cause food poisoning if found in meat, eggs, fruits, vegetables and processed food. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has been officially appointed as the Vice Chair of the World Health Organization WHO Executive Board, representing the Western Pacific region WPR for 2022-2023. Khairi was appointed along with candidates from Colombia, Yemen and Timor-Leste. The appointment was based on the principle of rotation between geographical regions. Malaysia is currently serving as a board member of the WHO Executive Board from 2021 to 2024. In congratulating Khairi, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the appointment was unprecedented and a great honour for Malaysia. He said Malaysia aspires to champion the priorities and vital common issues that the regional and global communities face by being the voice as the Vice President of the World Health Assembly and now the Vice Chair of the WHO Executive Board. In addition to the nation's strong leadership in safe and affordable surgery, he said Malaysia will contribute towards the success of WHO's effort in leading the international community in areas that include the COVID-19 response, digital health innovation, healthy and active aging, mental health, non-communicable disease NCD and climate change. Coming up, 4 arrested, shabu worth 1.4 million ringgit seized in Cheras. Six individuals have been appointed by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa as the panel of independent monitoring body of Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC for a 2-year period. 5 of them were reappointed as Operation Evaluation Panels PPO, while 1 of them was appointed as Consultation and Anti-Corruption Panel PPPR to replace an independent panel who resigned last December. The appointment letter was handed by MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki earlier today. The panels are made up from professionals as well as experts in numerous fields to represent Malaysians in monitoring the implementation of MACC functions and operations. The appointment period for PPO and PPPR members is effective from 1st April 2022 to 31st March 2024. PPO panel members were former Attorney General's Chambers Prosecution Division Deputy Head Dato' Ahmad Rosli Muhammad Syam, who is appointed as its chairman, former Kelantan State Secretary Dato' Muhammad Fauzi Cik Mat, former Internal Revenue Board Deputy Chief Executive Compliance Dato' Abdul Manap Dim, former Customs Department Deputy Director General Enforcement and Compliance Dato' Azimah Abdul Hamid, and former Bank Negara Malaysia Financial Intelligence and Enforcement Division Deputy Director Dr. Mazlan Ahmad. It was reported that the new PPPR member was the Malaysian Resources Corporation Berhad MRCB Deputy Executive Chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Salim Fathiddin. A local man who was suspected to be involved in a drug trafficking syndicate died believed murdered over a dispute with syndicate members at an apartment in Jalan Masai Jaya 2, Johor Bahru yesterday. Johor Police Chief Datuk Kamaruzaman Mamat said in the incident at 12:45 a.m. at a unit on level 2, the 23-year-old victim was found dead on ground floor believed to have fallen from the balcony. According to Datuk Kamaruzaman, a fight was believed to have broken out on the second floor of the building between the victim and 3 local men who were also syndicate members aged between 20 to 30, which led to the death. He said police received information from the public that the victim fell from the second floor balcony and died. The men were believed to be partners of a drug syndicate, and one of them probably did not pay up his drug debt, which led to the fight. He said a forensic unit investigation found signs of a struggle as well as criminal element which caused the victims to fall from the balcony. Following investigations, 3 individuals were picked up on the same day in Desa Jaya. A background check showed the 3 individuals have past records relating to crimes and drugs and were remanded for 7 days from today, and they would be investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Police seized 39 kilograms of methamphetamine or shabu worth 1.4 million ringgit and arrested 3 local men and a Ukrainian man in a raid at a parking lot at Batu 11 Shras on 24th May. Selangor Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department Chief ACP Ahmad Jeffrey Abdullah said in the 6 p.m. raid, the total value of the seizure was about 1.79 million ringgit. Along with the drugs, ACP Ahmad Jafri said the police also seized cash 20,380 in Malaysian ringgit, 35,000 in Thai baht, 3 cars as well as 11 pieces of jewellery from the suspects. He said the syndicate is believed to have been active for the past 6 months and supplies the drugs to other distributors to be marketed around the Klang Valley. He said the police were in the process of tracking down the remaining members of the syndicate, including the syndicate leader still at large, and where the supply of these drugs was obtained. He added that 2 suspects tested positive for drugs and had previous criminal records involving drugs and murder cases. He said the suspect, aged 30 to 44, were remanded until tomorrow and the case was being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which carries a mandatory death sentence. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA has impounded 3 tankers registered in Singapore, Malabo and Monrovia for illegally transferring fuel in eastern Johor waters. The tankers were detained in an operation involving the Tanjung Sedili Maritime Zone, an MMEA aircraft and 7 MMEA Special Action Force personnel. Johor MMEA Director First Admiral Nurul Hizam Zakaria said the impound had to be carried out through forced boarding after the crew failed to cooperate. The tankers had in total 39 Indonesian, Singaporean and Russian crewmen aged between 24 and 62 years. He said the case is being investigated under Section 491B, subsection 1, subsection K for illegally transferring fuel from ship to ship, and under Section 491B, subsection 1, subsection L for anchoring illegally. While the captain of the 3 tankers are also being investigated under Section 186 of the Penal Code for voluntarily obstructing a public servant from carrying out his duties. The Registrar of Societies (ROS) has been asked to monitor the sudden appearance of new former police personnel associations that only aim to collect donation for their personal gain. Chairman of Federal Territory Former Police Association, Datuk Seri Dr. Baharudin Abu said ROS must act fast to preserve the name of PDRM from being stained by this issue.
Bila kita sekali jadi polis, kita berusaha nama polis tu kita bawa walaupun kita dah bersara, walaupun kita dah berhenti. Jadi bila orang awam akan memandang rendah pada pihak polis. Maksudnya bila kita bawa persatuan bekas polis, jadi orang awam akan dia akan memandang remeh dan memandang rendah kepada pihak polis lah. Jadi bagaimana kita nak nyalakan motor masyarakat dan polis berpisah tiada tu. Jadi saya merayulah pada semua persatuan yang baru-baru ni, jangan salah gunakan untuk persatuan untuk kepentingan peribadi.
Coming up in our foreign segment, Russia eyes gas 4 rubles template for foreign euro bond payments. Nepali rescuers today pulled 14 bodies from the mangled wreckage of a passenger plane strewn across the mountainside that went missing in the Himalayas with 22 people on board. Air traffic control lost contact with the twin otter aircraft operated by Nepali carrier Tara Air shortly after taking off from Pokhara in western Nepal on Sunday morning, headed for Jomsom, a popular trekking destination. Helicopters operated by the military and private firms scoured the remote mountainous area all day Sunday, aided by teams on foot, but called off the search when night fell as bad weather hampered the recovery operations at around 3,800 until 4,000 meters above sea level. After the search resumed today, the Army shared on social media a photo of aircraft parts and other debris littering a sheer mountainside, including a wing with the registration number 9NAET clearly visible. 4 Indians were on board as well as 2 Germans, with the remainder Nepalese. There was no word on the cause of the crash. The Civil Aviation Authority confirmed that the plane met an accident at 4,420 meters in the Sanos Ware area of Tasang Rural Municipality in Mustang District. Authority spokesman Deo Chandra Lalkan said 14 bodies have been recovered so far and search continues for the remaining. Russia is considering settling pressing Eurobond obligations by applying the mechanism being used to process payments for its gas in rubles, the Kremlin and the finance minister said as Moscow edges towards a default triggered by Western sanctions. U.S. authorities pushed Russia closer to historic debt default last Wednesday by not extending a license allowing it to pay bondholders as Washington ramps up pressure following the military intervention in Ukraine. Foreign Eurobond holders are awaiting 2 coupon payments in dollars and euros due last week, but with a 30-day grace period that expires in late June. Russia says it has cash and is willing to pay, refusing to acknowledge talk of a possible default. Finance Minister Anton Silonov today said that Moscow will continue to service its external debts in rubles. But in order for foreign Eurobond holders to receive payments in foreign currencies as per Russia's obligations, he said, they would have to open ruble and forex accounts in a Russian bank. Using this system, Silonov said Russia will be able to bypass the Western payment infrastructure via Russia's National Settlement Depository (NSD). Unlike many Russian financial institutions, the NSD is not under Western sanctions. He added that there will be no limit on ruble conversion into forex and the scheme will be reviewed by the government soon. In sports, Sergio Perez win dramatic Monaco Grand Prix after heavy rain causes long delay. Following the national golf team's historic and glorious achievements at the 31st SEA Games recently, the Ministry of Youth and Sports KBS is ready to play a bigger role in assisting the Malaysian Golf Association MGA to further develop the sport. Speaking at the SEA Games Golf Team Awards ceremony at the Royal Selangor Golf Club today, Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal Azumu said KBS would channel an allocation to MGA but did not disclose the amount. He said KBS would also continue discussions with the MGA on several important matters, including on planning to organise a golf circuit in the country, which is deemed important for the development of the sport.
We are also talking about having to organise golf circuits around the country. So this is very important for the development of the sport itself.
He said the assistance was not solely due to the success of the national team at the SEA Games, but was KBS's responsibility in helping every sports associations receive the appropriate assistance.
Ini antara perkara yang boleh kita perbincangkan bagaimana untuk memantapkan lagi. Tetapi kalau kita nak buat secara lengkap, ianya buat masa sekarang ni agak sukar kerana untuk golf ianya sedikit berbeza dengan sukan-sukan berpasukan yang lain. Setiap satu pemain itu perlu ada ekosistem dia sendiri.
Muhammad Razi Abdul Rahim's hat-trick was good enough for Malaysia to hold India to a 3-all draw in their second match of the Hockey Asia Cup Super 4 round-robin stage in Jakarta yesterday. Malaysia, who drew 2-all with South Korea in the previous match, now need a win against Japan tomorrow to book a place in the final. In a match played at the Gelora Bung Karno Hockey Stadium, Malaysia started aggressively and went ahead as early as the 12th minute through Muhammad Razi penalty corner. He went on to double Malaysia's lead with another penalty corner goal 9 minutes later. India, the defending champions, however, pulled one back in the 32nd minute via a Vishnukan Singh penalty corner. Coached by Sardar Singh, India, ranked third in the world, managed to draw level in the 53rd minute with a field goal by SV Sunil. India then went ahead for the first time in the match after Neelam Sanjeepsis scored via a penalty corner in the 56th minute, but quickly found themselves tied again when Muhammad Razi completed his hat-trick with another penalty corner. Met after the match, Malaysian coach Arul Selvaraj said his charges showed strong character by not giving up easily after going behind. Sergio Perez won a rain-delayed, crash-halted and ultimately nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix for Red Bull on yesterday to make his dream come true as another evaporated for Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. The Mexican's team made Max Verstappen finish third to stretch his Formula One championship lead over Leclerc, who was fourth to 9 points after 7 of 22 races. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz was second for the second year in succession. Leclerc had started on pole position, but Ferrari were outsmarted on strategy and he was leapfrogged by the Red Bull drivers in the pit stops. The win was the third for Perez's career and second for Red Bull, and it ended with a thrilling chase on a treacherous street circuit where the difference between success and failure is measured in millimeters. Perez was only the third driver to win a race this season, with Verstappen winning 4 of the previous 6 and Leclerc the other 2. Verstappen, who had been chasing a fourth win in a row, now has 125 points to Leclerc's 116 with Perez on 110. George Russell with 5th for Mercedes, ahead of McLaren's Lando Norris and Alpine's Fernando Alonso. 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton took 8th for Mercedes, with Valtteri Bottas 9th for Alfa Romeo and Sebastian Vettel 10th for Aston Martin. Now on to motorsports. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia held off a spirited challenge from reigning world champion Fabio Quartararo of Yamaha to win the Italian Grand Prix in front of his home fans at the Mugello circuit yesterday. Bagnaia started 5th on the grid and with 15 laps to go, overtook Marco Bezzecchi of Muni VR46 Racing Team in the first spot with a brilliant move heading into turn 1. The Italian held on to his lead for the rest of the race, securing his second MotoGP win of the season after the Spanish Grand Prix. Frenchman Quartararo applied constant pressure on Bagnaia and did an outstanding job to finish second after starting 6th, while Aprilia Racing's Alex Espargaro of Spain came third. 6 times MotoGP champion Marc Marquez was 10th on his Repsol Honda in what was likely his final race of the season, with the Spaniard set to undergo a 4th surgical operation on his arm next week. Quartararo extended his lead at the top of the Riders' Championship, sitting 8 points ahead of second place Espargaro and 28 ahead of Italy's Enea Bastianini in third, who failed to finish. Alright, so that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, Sharia Compliance Commission needed to regulate halal economy. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM. Salam keluarga Malaysia and have a pleasant evening.